So how do I get the last occurrence of a substring in Python? We have a string of called text with the value of hello, and then we're trying to find the very last L, right? Well, one way you could do this is by looping through it and then just returning back the last time you saw, or the last index where you saw that character of L. So you could do something like for, and then we'll do index of char or in enumerate, because that's going to give us our index value as we loop through an object like a string. And then I can say if char is equal to char to get, then we're just going to say create a new variable called latest or last index and set that equal to -1 for not found, right? So we can say that, you know, if the character is equal to the character to get, then we can just say last index is equal to index, right? So if we print this out, so print, and we'll do an F string, and we'll say last index is equal to something, and we run this. What you'll see is that the last index is the value of 3, right? Well, we go and count it. If we look at our string, index 0 is H, index 1 is E, index 2 is the first L, index 3 is that last L, and just like that, we found it. So that is one way you can do this. We found the thing, right? We found the last index. Well, Python's actually made this easier, and let's talk about the function that you can just call that gives you that last index. So that string function that you can use that is a one-liner that gives you this exact same result should be, we'll just make an F string, and I'm just going to say text.rfind and then pass in the char to get, and then just like that we're going to run it and we should get the exact same answer, and we do. So there is the value of 3, and you can see in one line we did what we did in 4, right? And what is essentially happening is this rfind, you can think of it two ways, okay? The second way is a little bit more complicated, but the first way is probably just like this. It's looping through from the start to end, and then just going all the way to the end, and then finding, you know, taking track of the index of the last index that it saw this thing, and then just returning that, right? That could be what it's doing. Another method that kind of makes it a little bit faster, but it also is a little bit more complex, is if you reversed this string, which, you know, rfind, reverse find, you start from, rather than start from index 0, you start from the very last index and then work your way towards the beginning and then return this value or this index here, right? And so that is kind of when I think about rfind, that's kind of what I think that it's doing. I think it's doing more of like I'm starting at the end and I'm working my way towards the beginning. So starting at starting at O and working towards H, and then just checking each character. So like, oh, I'm at index 4. Nope, not there. Index 3. Yep, found it. So now I just return index 3. You can see how that's a lot shorter because I've now checked two indexes rather than I've searched all 4. So imagine if you had a super long string and you're trying to find the last occurrence. This is a lot faster in terms of algorithm wise because you're not searching the whole string. You've reversed. I mean, it may not be faster because you do have to do the operation of reversing the string, so that could take some time versus just looping through it and whatnot. But that's just kind of how my mind works, or how I think about it, is that I start at the very last index for rfind, and I say, oh, I want to find an L from the end going this way. Oh, index 4, that's a 0, or that's a O. Index 3, that is the very first L. So just like that, that's the very first L, which technically, because I'm looking from the end, that's actually the last L. I'm just going to return that. And that's how I think, in my mind, how rfind is working. If it helps you to know that it's working this way, where you're just starting from the beginning and then just keeping track of the index, that's fine too. But essentially, that find is essentially going through your string, or rfind is going through your string, and rather than give you the first L, it's giving the last, and it's returning the index, the position in the string, not anything else. It's the position in that string. So I hope you found that helpful. If you did, please leave a comment below. Until next time, keep on programming.